Sitting on a front porch in the early morning breeze. Sitting on a front porch, just an old friend and me. Drink a little coffee, read all the local news, talk a little gossip every now and then. Smell that ham cooking in the kitchen, a brand new sunrise in the sky. Sitting on a front porch, minding all your business. What a way to make the day go by.
Let's talk about the it being 7:30 right now. It's 34 degrees outside right now, and it's also brought to you by Dadeville Insurance, which is over in Dadeville, Alabama. I'm talking about downtown Dadeville. For if you want to just find out some rates, they make it real simple. You see the number on the screen. All you got to do is just call them. I'm going to call Marshall right now. He's not really the Marshall, but I just like his last name. Steve Marshall, Attorney General, with us out here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Glad to be with you.
Hey, I guess we've met a few times over the years, but at the chili cook-off a while back, how good was that?
It was good. It came hungry.
Yeah.
So, lots of different varieties. It was a really good event. Weather didn't always cooperate.
No,
good day.
But I want to know, as the top cop in Alabama, how have you met Kenny Dean multiple times and not thrown him behind bars?
Who said he hadn't?
We've been trying to have that done for years.
Mike Lewis was always keeping me out of it.
Yeah, he's got friends in good places.
There you go.
Tell us a little bit about you. Where were you born?
I'm an Atmore native,
Okay.
so grew up in South Alabama, lived in Mobile for a little bit. My dad worked in sporting goods. He ran a sporting goods store in Atmore and in Mobile. In fact, I knew about Russell Athletic as a young kid because he ended up being a manufacturer's rep for them.
Wow.
We lived all over the South. Had a chance to come through Alex City one time with him when he was working for Russell. So kind of interesting is to be able to see this place as a young boy. But came back to Alabama for law school, practiced law for a little bit in Birmingham and Montgomery, and then went to Marshall County, not named after me, but did meet my bride there.
I would tell folks it was. Anyway. Let them go look it up.
It worked good as DA for 16 years, but I'm a prosecutor is kind of who I am, and that's kind of where I was raised professionally, and have the utmost respect for law enforcement that I've had a chance to work with for a long time, and a real blessing for me to be AG.
Being Attorney General, a lot of folks, we hear that, but tell folks what the Attorney General, I know you can't just sum it up for us, I guess.
I run the state's law firm. That's part of it. We got 70 plus lawyers that work, and I've been very impressed with the quality of the people that were there and the work that we have a chance to do. And then, many people refer to the Attorney General as the top law enforcement officer in the state. And so work directly with our sheriffs and our chiefs and law enforcement, both federal and state, throughout Alabama, and really working on those issues that are trying to keep Alabamians safe.
I know we have gone through a crisis here in the United States, but particularly in Alabama with opiates. Right. We hear Sheriff Abbott out here all the time talk about how terrible it can be. What is the solution?
Well, we for the last about 7-8 months have been very much proactive on that issue. When I came into office, we weren't talking about it enough, frankly, and as somebody that had been that prosecutor, I'd gotten the phone calls from the mamas and the spouses and the family members of people that were addicted to these drugs. And so literally not less than probably a couple weeks after Governor Ivey came on board, I went to see her and said, let me tell you about some of the data. That Alabama's quadrupled the number of overdose deaths since 2008, that we're #1 per capita in the country in opioid prescriptions, and I don't think we're sicker as a society than other folks. And so really asked her to let us take a leadership role. And so we spent pretty much about 4 or 5 months in the dedicated work with a group of people that were doctors and pharmacists and those that deal with substance abuse and treatment and law enforcement to say, how do we deal with this problem? Because it's a public health issue, it's a mental health issue, and it's a law enforcement issue. And so we developed 27 recommendations for the state that we gave to Governor Ivey at the end of the year. 3 of those have been implemented as a result of this legislative session, and still working on others. But we need to do a good job from a law enforcement in identifying those that are in it for the wrong reasons. But the one thing that we have to recognize is there are people that need opioids. And so there's clearly a purpose for that drug. We just need to be able to use it and describe it in the right way. We need to make sure that we're allowing folks to get help. We need to take away the stigma that exists for those that are subject to the addiction, to be able to say it's okay, it's not a reflection that somehow or another you're weak of character or something that you've done wrong, but in fact, that it's many that are out there that have suffered this problem, and to get help. And then we need to do a good job in communities of being able to train people about safe storage, safe use, and safe disposal of the medications.
But mental health, I mean, to me, that's number one. I mean, y'all have to deal with it. The whole state. I went by to see our Alex City Police Chief Jay Turner yesterday, and I said, just a little bit of time I spent with him, I left and before I said, man, I can't thank you enough for what y'all do. I mean, you're talking about a job that if you don't have the love for it, why are you in it? And I see that with you. If you don't have the love for it and caring for the people, you're in it for the right reasons. You're in it to take care of us, and we depend on you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's a calling.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you.
If you think about law enforcement in Alabama, just in the last 3 weeks, we had Officer Billa that was shot and killed in Mobile. 2 years on the job, father of a 1-year-old boy, new husband, and lost his life. We had 2 deputies in Baldwin County that were shot that had vests on that saved their lives. And Officer Montgomery, who was grazed in the leg, fortunate to be alive. Another officer who was attacked with a box cutter. They're unique in that every day when a law enforcement officer goes to work, their families don't know if they're coming home. And so, when you see people like Jimmy Abbott that's been doing it for so long and so well, not only do they have to have that passion, I mean, that's a sacrifice for their families also that people don't recognize.
For somebody like Jimmy Abbott, what have you pulled from somebody like him? Because I know you deal with all of them, but I've been knowing Jimmy, you've been knowing him for many, many years, and he just kind of blows my mind how professional he is, but still the love he has for it. And he's in it for the right reason. Like I say, I'll go back to you. You're in it for the right reasons. I see it in you.
Well, thank you. You take Sheriff Abbott. I mean, he's come through the ranks.
He
was on patrol for a long time, working in this community. As somebody that just had a passion for what he was doing, and he's developed leadership skills over that time. And then obviously y'all can't kick him out of office here. He's been there that long.
Y'all just try.
But he's somebody for me that I know that I can always pick up the phone and call. But you take this opioid issue. They got into it from a law enforcement purpose, but yet Sheriff Abbott's probably the chief mental health officer in this county. Because many of the mental health issues end up arising on the criminal side, and he's probably detoxing people in the jail right now that are subject to addiction. And so if you think somebody that's been in it as long as he has, the change in law enforcement over that time, to some extent, we see society kind of back away from law enforcement, which is sad. Criticize them, and I think in an unjust way. And as a society, have we respected them like we should and thanked them like we should? But yet, when you have the relationships like you've talked about with the chief and with the sheriff, you understand the type and quality of people that they are, and it's why, for me, it's such a unique honor to be able to work with them.
Relationships is what I was going to bring up. That's what you have to. I don't care what kind of business you're in, is building those relationships. So when you go back to them, it's also respect. You have the respect for somebody like a Chief Abbott. He's got the respect for you, but you don't do those things overnight. It's building those relationships.
No, and you forge it in times of crisis. It's why when you do have situations like Officer Billa who died, one of the things that you learn pretty quickly is the bond of law enforcement and that brotherhood that exists. I had a police chief that was shot and killed when I was DA. I don't think I've ever seen a group of people come together more in that scenario, and it's why working with them is truly unique, because it matters to them, to one another.
It's heartbreaking for you, but it makes you mad too. And I just to put all that in one ball, it goes back to that passion, that building character. But you don't want to build it through seeing more officers shot and killed.
Not at all.
Guys and gals, we can't thank you enough.
Exactly right.
It's not like they all make $1 million a year. I mean, that's the other thing.
They don't.
Let's transition to another problem here in Alabama. I hate to put it like that, but it's something that I know a lot of people. We actually ask people, what questions would they want us to ask you, and this is one of them. Prisons in Alabama are just we've got to be at the bottom of the barrel as far as prison conditions, overcrowding. Is there a solution from the Attorney General's office of saying, hey, we're arresting too many people, we're cycling people through, they're arrested, they get out, they're arrested again. What's the solution there?
Yeah, it's a complicated problem, number one.
Right.
But here's something that you don't hear. For a long time, Tutwiler was not a shining spot in the state of Alabama. But yet I sat with, and I've been very proactive in this area with our federal folks. And those that came in that investigated Tutwiler recently, when you sit down with them now, they'll tell you that Tutwiler is a model prison nationally. Now, that word's not out there. It's not spoken very much, and yet when we invested money and resources in Tutwiler, it made a difference.
Right.
You know, right now we have going on the mental health litigation that's in front of Judge Thompson in Montgomery, which is obviously something that everybody ought to be interested in.
Is that Bill Thompson?
No, Myron Thompson.
Okay.
Myron
You
Thompson.
know Bill?
Yeah, I do. Yes, sir.
Hey, I hate to cut you short.
No.
Bill, good morning to you. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with the Attorney General. Janice Denny, happy birthday to you. That's from your family. And if anybody else having a birthday and we don't get it on, we hope it's a happy birthday for you anyway. Steve Marshall with us out here this morning. Mike Lewis with us. He gets over there just looking.
Sitting in the wings.
Yeah, he's sitting in the wings. But, you know, I've been talking about this for a while, but I'm really, really glad that you're taking your time. I know y'all got a busy day going to Benjamin Russell. Civil. What did you tell me to ask him out there, Mike?
Safe school.
Safe school.
No, that's clearly a...
That's how we communicate out here.
I hear you. But
That's the forefront of everybody's mind right now.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You know, you see what happened in Florida, and we've seen other instances around the country. And one of the good things that in Alabama we've done is been very proactive on this issue. And in fact, today we'll be meeting to identify the schools that receive the Attorney General's Safe School Award. And what we're looking at is, are you doing building security right? Do you develop a plan when you have an active shooter situation? Are you training kids about what to do and staff on what to do in those situations? And have you identified school resource officers that can be in the school and be able to help assist in a situation like that? And so, you know, the good thing is that we've seen, you know, remarkable success stories in the state about how people have taken older facilities and figured out how to make those schools just safe as a facility, and then been very proactive in developing plans with law enforcement and local EMS and others to be able to say, what will we do in this situation?
Right.
And so it's very good. And as a state, we'll continue to have those discussions. You know, I don't necessarily know that I agree with some of the things that Florida has done relating to gun control. I don't necessarily know that that's the answer, but yet I do think that we need to continue to have this dialogue and this discussion about what we do and how we make sure that our kids are safe.
Isn't it a shame that a teacher can't get up today and go because they know they got to teach those kids today, but they're also nervous about they don't know what's going to happen, and also now the kids are nervous because they don't know what's going to happen, and it's really heartbreaking.
No, it is.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's why, you know, people don't necessarily think of it in school safety, but we just announced an initiative with the Department of Education about training parents about, you know, online issues, you know, whether they be with cell phones or through computers and what we can do with the internet, because much of what we're seeing the activity take place with young people and the threats are actually occurring online.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we need to be proactive and really pleased that Dr. Richardson allowing us to be able to help them go out and train parents about this issue, because, you know, most of us grew up with parenting lessons from our parents. You know, we knew, you know, don't take candy from a stranger. We knew that things that we were supposed to do because of what our parents taught us. We're not there right now. You know, when my daughter was growing up, she's 21 now, we didn't have smartphones, but yet we obviously do now, and we have all of the different social media that's out there. So we're learning these parenting skills for the first time. And many of us can't keep up with the apps that are out there and the creative ways that young people are able to avoid parental supervision.
Oh, yeah.
It's why we need to be very proactive and continue to be able to train teachers. And I think that's a part of school safety.
Different world.
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, General Marshall.
Good morning.
And by the way, KD and, you know, guys, it's the general is the proper way to address the man that's sitting there by you. Okay?
I did not know that.
District Attorney
Yes, sir.
E. Paul Jones.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Paul, how are you,
I just
sir?
wanted to call real quickly and tell y'all that of all the people who could run for the office, Steve Marshall probably has got more respect from DAs across this state than anybody that could have run for the office of Attorney General.
Wow.
Thank
He's a
you.
good guy.
praise.
He's done a good job as district attorney, and as far as I know, he's done a great job as Attorney General since he's been in office. And I just wanted to call and say good morning, and I'll get off here and let you guys get back to it.
Hey, Paul, are you calling from France or are you in the country?
I'm in the country. I'll probably see you somewhere in Alex City this morning
Good
before
deal.
you get out of town.
Good deal. Thank you, Paul.
E. Paul, have a good day, buddy.
All right, thank you. You guys have a great one.
E. Paul is probably busy pushing out those last few chapters of To
No, you
Kill
got
a
a new
Preacher.
book.
Yeah.
No, I had not heard
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Kill a
it's-
Preacher.
Really?
Kind of
Very
came from
interesting.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
It's a true story.
yeah.
True story. And make sure that you get it. Paul, the super district attorney, but he's been coming out here for years, and what a great guy to sit down with and talk.
I know we have
a great history.
I know we only have a few more minutes before our next break, but I want to ask really quickly, and it's something that I was peppered on Facebook over the last day, ethics reform in Alabama. We know we've kicked it to the next year, 2019. That's something that I feel like, and people my age in particular feel like, is a must. It's something that we are very passionate about. In 2010, we saw a huge number of legislatures, of city councilmen in Birmingham in particular, that were arrested, and they were sent to prison, and they served their time. Now it seems like we've come back full circle. We've seen things happen again, and we want to see people punished. We want legislatures to be held accountable. We elect these people to be leaders, and they fail us, and we feel like they need to be held accountable. We want to see your office do something. What's the next step?
Well, we worked on and basically for the past year and a half plus, a fairly lengthy revision of the ethics laws.
Right.
2010 is when the last major revision took place.
Right.
And so a couple of things from there is, one, kind of what lessons we've learned since. Are there loopholes or are there gaps that we believe existed? And one of those would be, for example, in the transparency of economic disclosures that take place with the Ethics Commission. That's a big part of that rewrite. And the other is to see whether or not certain conduct that we think ought to be actionable as violating the ethics laws is covered within the Act itself. And so we've rewritten provisions on that. So we have, and through Senator Marsh was good enough to sponsor the bill. 155 pages, I believe, is kind of what it is. So pretty significant discussion of ethics laws. We developed it. It needs to be able to be seen in the light of day, to be discussed and thoroughly vetted. And so that's why the decision was made by leadership to be able to put it before a group of people to get to have a legitimate discussion. I think it's the height of arrogance to say that at the AG's office we know everything.
Sure.
And so there may be other suggestions and other ideas that people have going forward. I think for us there's really two main themes: that we need to be strong and we need to be clear, so that those who are subject to the law are clearly on notice of what conduct is violative of the law, and at the same time that we give the people of Alabama what they deserve, which is a strong ethics law for those that are subject to it. And so that'll continue to be our focus going forward, and we obviously, we see those people. I mean, we've prosecuted prosecutors and law enforcement officers and public officials and public employees since I've been there. It's not a good situation.
Right,
at the same time, it does show you the system is working.
Yeah.
And so we continue to be able to do that going forward, and we'll look forward to being able to present the work that our office has done, and again, look forward to any input that people have to be able to make it stronger.
Sir, I like your honesty. We'll go take our last break of the day. We'll be right back.